Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. It is about 24 hours since Inter Miami kicked off with Atlas, and by the end of that game, we were all smiles as Chelo Weigandt delivered a 2-1 victory, and we are going to break it all down in this episode. I'm your host, Scotty. We're with my co-host, Saur. How are you feeling today, my man?
The weekend's almost here. It's a little bit rainy outside, so I hope the sun comes out soon. But one aspect of that is Inter Miami winning on a weekday, which makes my time a lot easier. So very happy. How are you?
I am, just being honest, entirely exhausted today, and I hope it doesn't reflect poorly on my awards. But we're going to power through, and
No
I have a
excuses.
feeling. Well, I have a feeling that as we start talking ball, my energy is going to lift and my spirits are going to lift. And I'm going to feel great. So,
Hey,
I feel pretty
25
good
minutes
about
in
this.
and out. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with the news of the day because I think it's important to get to the quick hitters. A journalist went on TV and said that Messi's signing a contract until 2028. And a lot of people ran with it, and that's cool. And so maybe Messi is signing a new contract until 2028. I will say I don't know, and I don't have a ton of trust in this person that was reporting, and apparently they were reporting it first on television, and that doesn't seem to be the vehicle for reporting news if you want to break it first and foremost. So I guess take it with a grain of salt. But rumors and reports today, Inter Miami and Lionel Messi are coming to an agreement until 2028, which is a year longer than we even expected.
Listen, if that's the case, then we probably broke the news a lot earlier, more so than anybody else. I have no doubts that's going to happen. I think people are just going to milk this story as long as they can and get as much out of it. Until it's finalized by the club, I won't put credence into any of these reports. I think he's going to sign. Absolutely, that's going to happen. When it happens, the first source that we should trust is probably the Inter Miami team themselves. If it's still 2027, that's fine. If it's still 2028, even better. I just want him to put pen to paper as soon as possible so that we can put the questions to bed. I think it's going to happen very soon anyways.
I do too. I think it's interesting that the year 2028 has come into view. I don't know what that necessarily means for Inter Miami or for Lionel Messi, but again, I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be with this team for the foreseeable future. And I think we've said this multiple times. I think he's going to retire here and then assume his mantle as part owner of the club. And I think there's huge conversations to be had about what exactly that looks like for Inter Miami. But in the meantime, I think we just get to keep this incredible player. And as we saw last night, the moments keep coming from the Magic Man. So great news, but I agree. I don't think this report today is like groundbreaking. One of the other things I do want to add about this, when he committed to coming to Inter Miami in 2023, the news was broken first from local reporters that are close to the ownership group of the club. So I don't think you're going to get this from the agent side. I think that's how Messi operates. I don't think you're going to get this from Messi's side. That's not how his team seemingly operates. You're not going to get this from MLS, like a Tom Bogart or anyone like that. I think you're going to get this from the one or two journalists that Jorge and Jose and David Beckham have built an incredible relationship with locally. I think those will be the people that first break the details of this new contract, because this isn't like other players. This is Lionel Messi, and he's in his own world and has worked very hard to have something of a private circle around him that he can really trust and bounce ideas off of. And I don't think a ton leaks from them, if I'm being honest.
Absolutely. Who's his agent? Do we know? It's a family member, isn't
I
it?
think it's his dad.
Yeah.
If not his agent, officially his like close advisor.
By the way, while you were speaking, I didn't even bring this up yesterday, and I should have. The graphics look cold. So well done to our graphics department for bringing out a new Leagues Cup graphic, because I think they look fantastic.
Ash says, what's the fastest way for this team to reach their current potential without buying more players? Ash, I think that's a fantastic question. And I'm going to mark it with a star and come back to that. And I think we should talk about it for a few minutes at the end of this episode because I think it's a great question. Injury news I wanted to get to. Alan Obando has been dealing with something over the last couple of weeks, has been out of the lineup, out of training. He was back on the bench last night. So I guess that means he's healthy and ready to go. Not sure it makes a big difference for his playing time, but available. And then the other, I think, more interesting news is Ian Frey back in individual work. So this is a guy who's making his way back. That is the first step for these guys. First, they come back into individual training, and then whether it's a week later, 2 weeks later, that's when they get back to team training and ready to go. But until they come back and start working individually, you're not going to see them back with the team. And so the first step of Ian Frey's return is happening.
I will say I was watching the highlights and I thought to myself, if Ian Frey had this much space and was able to run into the positions that Tadeo Allende was running into, he would decimate this Atlas defense. And I really thought yesterday was his game, so I can't wait for him to be back. That's going to be so exciting.
Yeah. Okay, anything else you want to talk about before we get into this game? Because I rewatched it today. I know you rewatched it today, and this is why we rewatch it, because I have vastly different opinions now than I had when we were ranting and raving last night in the Raw reaction. I don't know. Is that how you felt?
Absolutely. I think it changed my perspective on how the game was played, how it was in the moment of time. I think there was a little bit of frustration for us not being able to finish our chances, but I've changed my opinion on what I thought Inter Miami was as a team yesterday. So let's get straight into it.
Okay, let's get into the first half because it ends 0-0, but I thought it was representative of a lot of the game. Kind of back and forth. Both teams had really quality chances. Big moment in the 25th minute from Rocco Ríos Novo off of an Eduardo Aguirre header. It was heading for that far post, and Ríos Novo makes a quick dive save to his left, gets down there and pushes it wide. An awesome opportunity in the 30th minute for Segovia. He lays it out, for Allende. Segovia lays it at his feet, and he kind of fumbles it. And then the really, really big one came in the 4th minute of first half stoppage time. It was Messi to Alba, over the top to Suárez, who does everything right but the finish and slams it against the top bar. It's 0-0. Both teams had chances, and it felt both easy and hard. Easy to create chances, but really hard to find the back of the net. And I think that's a representative of how the game went.
I think this conversation needs to start with the starting 11. Because the issues that we saw in defense were exactly the holes you would expect, exactly the vulnerabilities that you would expect from this backline. Atlas was very good in running at us, especially in the flanks. They tried to get at this Inter Miami team. And the biggest issue we were facing was from crosses. That headed opportunity that they got was from a really good cross. They had a couple of other opportunities, dangerous on corners. Neither Lujan nor Maxi Falcone are prolific in defending set pieces, in defending corners. Our box defending was quite poor yesterday as well. But I think we weren't as exposed on the transition as much as I thought we were in the first viewing. For the first 30 minutes, I thought we were very good running back to our box as soon as Atlas had the ball. I thought Rodrigo de Paul made a huge difference in how he was set up defensively in the first 20-25 minutes. After that, the level started dropping. I think you can blame that a little bit on the fitness, but the vulnerabilities in defense were not because of a system, were not because of a tactics. It was because of personnel. And that's understandable and I think forgivable for me. What I found very positive was the offensive side. But I'll let you react to the defensive side first before I talk about the offense.
Well, I disagree in that I absolutely think the team set themselves up to force their defenders to be good at defending instead of setting the whole team up to protect their defenders. And by doing that, it allowed their offense to be much more free-flowing and effective going forward. And I really liked it. And so I think the issue and why it looked poor defensively is because of the personnel. But I want to have a serious discussion about the mindset and setup of last night's game, because I thought there was a lot of really encouraging ideas being expressed. And one of the most frustrating things this season compared to last season is the structure, like the heart and brain of the team has been
Sit
too
back and
conservative.
absorb.
It's been too conservative. And so to see them finally come out of their shell, it was awesome to see. I think that's the step in the right direction, but then it starts to expose sort of some of the personnel issues that I will say I think are entirely self-created by Inter Miami, and I think there's personnel changes that can solve that issue. But I thought the team tried to be more offensive in this game. It resulted in better and more chances created. I think they're a little unlucky. If Allende is in better form, he probably gets a goal or two. I think if Suárez is in better form, he gets a goal or two. Like, the way they set themselves up was good enough to create 4+ goals, really. And then they asked their defenders to do much more, and those players, I don't think, were really ready to do it. Not against this Atlas team, who, to be fair, bailed them out by taking some really low percentage shots in that first half.
I'm sorry. I don't think I expressed myself as clearly, because I think I was getting to the same point as you are, that
Okay.
defensively, the vulnerabilities that we saw were by design. They weren't like, you could expect exactly what issues we would face with the vulnerabilities, because the players on the pitch are not able to defend the way we should be defending in that setup. My point was, if you put in Aviles and Allen, I think we're a lot more robust defensively. And then you get the same level of prolific expansion going forward as you saw yesterday. So I think I was trying to make the same point as you are. But just to talk a little bit more on the offensive side, it was very adventurous. We were breaking them very quickly, very fast. Allende had so many opportunities. Suárez, I think, on second watch, he did try to do a little bit more, like a lot more. He was trying too hard at times, but he was getting in positions to create opportunities, to finish opportunities. I think there were a couple of chances Segovia had, maybe in the second half, but also in the first half, where he got in the box, booted it out long. One of his opportunities in the first half got deflected and went over the bar, but on any other day, he could have just buried it in the bottom corner. Allende had it on a plate for him, did not finish it off. Suárez hit the crossbar in the final minute of the first half. We were getting in dangerous positions constantly. Both sides, we were utilizing Allende's side. We were utilizing Jordi Alba's side. Sergio Busquets was finding some good passes. Rodrigo de Paul had some really good line-breaking passes. So offensively, I think we were flowing very, very well. On any other day, we could have finished this game off within the first half, 3-2, 3-1. 4-0. It could have been a different scoreline. So I think offensively we did exactly what we were supposed to, and that's very encouraging for me.
And it looked like it was supposed to also. Yeah. Again, we get Allende had some poor touches. We'll talk about him when we get to awards. Suárez, I think, did get a little more unlucky than not good with some of his shots. But on another day, like, if you keep that style, if you keep that pressure, you're going to have breakthroughs that are going to be really fun. And then you start to intimidate opponents and you start to overwhelm them. And then it kind of becomes hard for the other team mentally to be in it if you can really get it going. And then you get the fear factor and all the other positive things that come with it. I want to talk about Jordi Alba, but let's get to the second half first, because that's a bigger picture thing. 57th minute, Inter Miami gets the breakthrough. It's Suárez over the top to Messi, who fires a shot. It's blocked by the Atlas defender, but it rebounds to Busquets. Messi stops, turns, sees where the rebound is going, and then immediately starts drifting into space, because he knows not only that Busquets is going to get the ball, but that Busquets is going to get it back to him. It's one of those, I mean, I rewatched it like 7 times just because it's so, the mind meld of these two players is so impressive. He kind of drifts back into space. The Atlas defenders have no idea that this is happening. Busquets makes the perfect ball, sees it, has the vision, delivers it, and then Messi, instead of taking the shot, because the goalkeeper does try to close down quickly, he pushes essentially to Segovia, who takes a second touch but gets the goal nevertheless, and Inter Miami breaks through 1-0.
What a disguised pass. Absolutely brilliant. because he pretended he was going to take a shot, but the weight on it, the measure, it was fantastic. I don't have an award for Busquets, so maybe we can just talk about him now and put it aside. But what a unicorn! Absolutely fantastic. Messi again. I thought this game he was determined to let other people score because he was in opportunities where normally he would try and finish it by himself, and I wouldn't doubt it that he could finish from that angle. But he put it on a plate for Segovia, who almost fumbled it, but I think recovered well to finish it off. Beautiful construction, and this is what I mean. You saw patterns in this game. You saw clear ways of connecting one thing to the other. We weren't just relying on Messi to just dribble through 50 people and then try and score. This was actually everyone passing very slick, moving very slick, and you got the reward for that. Well constructed. Kudos to Sergio Busquets for that beautiful pass. I think this is what second time in 5 games that he's done that. He just keeps on finding those ways to unlock defenses and is just brilliant.
Well, and Busquets, when you're trying, not that this was necessarily what Atlas was doing, but in that specific moment, they were deep defending in their own box. His ability to find that little intricate run, half run by a Messi or a Suárez and put the ball perfectly is one of the most devastatingly effective ways to break down a low block that we've ever seen in Inter Miami. And he's done this a number of times. And
Inch
that was
perfect.
another example. Inch perfect indeed. Inter Miami has a couple more chances, but the game does start to slow down at this point. And ultimately, Atlas, knowing how this tournament is going, knowing that probably a loss eliminates them, starts to come out of their shell, really starts to put pressure on. Thought Inter Miami played into that a little more than they needed to. Got a little conservative, let Atlas have more of the ball. The substitution that they did make, which was taking Segovia out and putting Redondo in, I thought that contributed to this in a significant way. Ultimately, Atlas gets the breakthrough in the 80th minute. Chelo gets run around by his attacker. Lujan can't close down with any pace. The ball goes to the man Falcone is supposed to be defending. Falcone makes sort of a last gasp challenge, deflects it a little bit, and pushes it out of the danger zone, but has to fall in order to make that happen. And then somehow Gonzalo Lujan just kicks it right back into the danger zone. I have no idea what he was thinking there. It bounces off Falcone, who's now on the floor, right at Jose Rivaldo Lozano, who has a easy finish. The 3 players that we're worried about defensively, all major contributors to this goal allowed. Listen, this is the 80th minute, and we know what happened 16 minutes later now, but at the time, that could have cost Inter Miami the tournament.
Absolutely. I was going to say this conversation would be so different if we weren't able to get the result eventually. And we would be crucifying these 3 players because at a professional level, that should not happen. I don't care about the wrong selection of personnel, tactics, them being vulnerable at certain things. Those were clear defensive errors that no one at this level should be making. Chelo Weigandt again gets rinsed. We've seen it so many times this season. He has some issue in defending one-on-one. That's absolutely clear now. I don't think it's an injury thing. I think it's just a concentration and an ability to just move his hips quickly.
To be clear, I'm just hoping it's an injury thing because that means there's a chance it gets better.
Exactly. But I don't think so. It's becoming a pattern and repetitive. So I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon. Lujan had a couple of opportunities to deal with that, was not able to. Maxi Falcone, not strong enough, got bullied in the box. And one thing you value Maxi Falcone for is his physicality at times, but he was so poor in that instance.
I want to defend Maxi Falcone. I think out of the 3 of them, he's the least culpable.
Yeah, because he was left into no man's land basically by the 2 of them.
Yeah, and he makes a last man challenge, and he actually does push the ball out of immediate danger. And I think the obvious play for Lujan is to just tap it out of bounds and concede a corner.
Boot it out.
Unbelievable what Lujan does in that moment where he kicks it on the ground right back into the 6-yard box. It is I have no idea what he's thinking there. And of course, Maxi Falcone on the floor. So when it bounces off of him to the attacker, there's nothing he can really do about that. And then, as you said, Chelo getting beaten the first place is just not good. And so I don't think this is a bad moment from them. I think this is who they are as players. And so we start to talk about personnel issues and coaching decisions and transfer
I
decisions.
actually disagree. I think that's a bad moment from them. That shouldn't be happening, even if they're not.
Well.
They're good enough to defend three of them, giving them three opportunities to score. And I think this is the exclamation point that I want to make. If you want to win this tournament, those mistakes can't happen, because Messi is not going to bail you out at the end. Not every single game. So moments win matches, moments lose or win tournaments, and that could have really hampered us. Now it did not, so we can move on from this.
I think, though,
bad.
I think to that point, yes, these types of moments can lose you tournaments. And so, A, that's why you want to have your best personnel on the field. But B, that's also why it's nice to have an all-out attacking style that can overcome this. Because if you're playing a very conservative style, you might not necessarily be able to overcome this like they were last night when they were much more aggressive going forward. Ultimately, they do start pushing the pressure after it equalizes. They, I thought, controlled the last 15 minutes of the game. The closest opportunity was the 83rd minute, a great save by the keeper on a Suárez shot. He pushes it just a few inches wide, but ultimately the breakthrough comes in the 96th minute. It's Messi, pick and roll to Luis Suárez, receives it back, and this time I actually thought he was going to go for the finish himself. Instead, he pushes it to Chelo Weigandt, who is in the right place at the right time, and calls game. It's called offsides on the field, but reviewed by VAR and rewarded as a goal. Basically the final moment of the game. Inter Miami wins 2-1, and that is Messi magic.
It was beautifully done, and I think you summed it up perfectly. It was euphoria, and hopefully this is the start of a long run in this tournament. Great way to end the game.
That was a really great moment. And I think maybe the first really, really special great moment since the Club World Cup ended, where we got to be on top of the world for a few minutes. You know, I know we've won some games since then, but it has felt like more of a struggle and more of a we're just going to beat you with raw talent instead of...
No, we had
beautiful
5-1
soccer.
Against New York, so that's always there.
Fair. Let's talk about Atlas for just a minute or two, because I think they're the worst team we're going to play in this tournament. And they took us to the 96th minute. What did you think of their performance?
I think they showed up. They had heart. They had a game plan. They wanted to play a certain way. Very disruptive, constantly stopped our rhythm. I think that was one of the issues that we faced. If we were allowed to play with a little bit more rhythm, this would have been a different game altogether. So well done to them, because I think the disruption was part of the plan. But they also did not fear us. They came at us. They were using the spaces to try and get to Inter Miami. The goal that they scored, I think, was a little bit of a gift to them, but they were good for it for that point. I think they had opportunities. That really good header that they had. There was another opportunity where I think they shot it really wide, but they got into some dangerous areas where on any other day they themselves could have had a couple of goals. Listen, they're not the perfect team, and they did not try to make this game a park the bus and get 2 points by winning the penalties. They tried to actually go out there and win, and that made for an exciting watch. So well done to them. I'm not sure if they're going to get far in this tournament, given that they lost the first game, but it was nice to go up against a team that wanted to actually play football and not just sit and defend for the 90 minutes.
There's definitely a base level of technical ability when you're talking about Liga MX teams that we saw with Atlas in that moment, or in that game. There's one thing I thought they were really well coached. I thought they had the right game plan. Sitting in that mid block, trying to hit in transition. I think we got bailed out a little bit by them shooting from outside the box a little too eagerly. But in terms of their coaching, in terms of their prep work, I think they absolutely did what they were supposed to do. And there was one thing I noticed on the rewatch that they pulled off effectively a couple of times, which is crosses from the right side of their offense to the back post to create something where that runner is supposed to be guarded by Chelo Weigandt. And he just completely left them unmarked. And they shoot it from far enough back that it's really probably Segovia's responsibility. I'm sorry, the cross comes from far enough back that it's really Segovia's responsibility to go make that more difficult. And they ID'd that Segovia is not going to press particularly high up the field to prevent easy crosses. And then that back post runner coming in, blindsiding Chelo and Lujan really from that side of the field, they created an opportunity in, I think, the 6th minute, that other one in the 25th minute where Ríos Novo has to make a great save. They created 2 or 3 opportunities from the same pattern of play that they identified as a clear Inter Miami weakness. And so as we're talking about some of these defenders having good games or whatever, you start to see actually the opposition is figuring out how to pick apart these players, specifically these players. And I think Inter Miami needs to do some self-scouting to figure out how to fix that, whether it's make Chelo have a higher level of awareness, make sure he understands that he needs to be watching this, which I'm sure he does, but he needs to be more focused on it, or if it's changing the personnel. They knew how to exploit Inter Miami, and I don't think they had the top-end talent to actually pull it out, but they knew what they were doing, and I think we're going to see that again from the next team we play. And if we get into the next round and we play another Liga MX team, like that's going to be there for the rest of this tournament from a coaching perspective.
I think the second point that you make is very pertinent. This wasn't unique to Inter Miami. Atlas plays like that. We spoke about this in the pregame show. Their 3-man backline allows for their wingbacks to just push forward and put crosses into the ball. They love to play through the flanks. And this wasn't unique as a game plan against Inter Miami specifically, but the vulnerabilities that Inter Miami have, they identified it. The right-hand side, they knew that Jordi Alba is going to push up, so they will have the space. Sorry, their right-hand side, our left-hand side. And you're absolutely right. And that's why I mentioned the crosses were the ones that were really getting us in trouble, especially in the first 15, 20 minutes, they created a couple of those opportunities. And that's when you have to think about, okay, if that's how they play, we've identified that in the pregame show. Why didn't the coaching staff think that maybe it might be worth putting in somebody who's taller and can deal with those crosses? Have Aviles play in there, right? Okay, Allen maybe still short and may not be able to defend it. So yeah, you have to do your scouting. You have to understand how the opposition plays and put the personnel that's best suited to win that. Because on any other day, Rocco Ríos Novo does not make that save. They get that goal because it was a really good header.
No, there was 3 of these opportunities.
Yeah.
So it was something they identified
Understood
and they went
wanted
for.
To do. And Lujan didn't deal with it. Chelo did not deal with it. So whose responsibility is it to deal with those crosses? Maybe Segovia, as you mentioned, but Inter Miami needed to do better there. Clear defensive issues, absolutely, but I think our offense was definitely superior. Our quality was definitely superior, and Atlas tried to hang around, but eventually it just wasn't enough.
And the reason why I think this is particularly important is going back to that base level of technical ability from these Liga MX players. That cross is something that every fullback in Liga MX is going to be able to pull off. And it maybe not it's not true about the MLS because people spend more money and time on their attacking weapons than their fullbacks or their wide midfielders or whatever. So it's something Inter Miami needs to be prepared for in this tournament. And luckily for Inter Miami, Rocco Ríos Novo had his moment. Okay, let's get to Inter Miami. We touched on it. Offensively, they were aggressive. They were pushing their fullbacks high. They were in control, I thought, of the game, the tempo of the game, the style of the game. They were creating real opportunities for themselves, whether it was from Segovia, whether it was for Allende, whether it was for Suárez, whether it was interlinked play between Alba, Messi, and Suárez. I thought all of that really came alive. By the way, I just realized we haven't mentioned Rodrigo de Paul's name in the first half an hour of this podcast.
There's a reason for that.
It all came together in the way that it feels like it should and that we've seen from this team plenty of times prior to this season. And we know is possible between these 3 players and between basically the talent in the front half of our field. And yet it feels like we're not giving permission. We're not giving permission to these players to play like that on a consistent basis.
I do want to say, I think let's just judge this game the way it was played. We absolutely know how Javier Mascherano prefers to play, but there must have been some reason that he allowed these players to be a little bit more prolific. I think there was a lot of good patterns of play, very similar to the New York Red Bulls game. We were using multiple different areas of the pitch to try and get at Atlas. It wasn't just the Jordi Alba side. It wasn't just Messi trying to go centrally. It wasn't just us trying to constantly put the ball into Suárez. We were using multiple different avenues a fair few times. Now, both the goals came in a very similar manner. So maybe that pattern of play was something that we'd thought about against this Atlas team. But I really like the fact that it was very dynamic, open, and fluid football. And that's what allowed us to dominate offensively so much.
I think Jordi Alba was a huge factor in this, and so often we talk about him having an impact on the offense by getting down to the byline and then whipping in those accurate crosses. Instead, he was cutting short and actually drifting centrally, but it turned him into an option in the sort of
build up.
Not even the build-up, but in the sort of 1-2s that create the chance. We saw that with Suárez's opportunity right before the end of the half, where Messi pushes it to Alba, and Alba just plops it over the top. I think Inter Miami did identify that if you make those diagonal runs across the back line, a little bit of a shift in ball movement across the central part of the pitch will distract the defenders, and you'll be able to make that run in behind. They did that 2 or 3 times very effectively. And so Jordi Alba, I thought, changed what he was doing, came centrally, was more of a passing outlet and a creative option than sort of just whipping in those crosses down the sideline, but highly effective in this game. And I think they were right. They created a number of opportunities by that sort of last touch to cross it centrally and then a little plop over the top, whether it was to Suárez, whether it was to Messi. I thought it was really effective. So I wanted to give them credit for that little wrinkle that really worked in this game.
Also, additionally, there were a few long balls as well that Allende was getting into where he was able to get into space. He had so much time in this game to actually get a hat trick maybe or just be impactful. We can talk about him in the awards, but again, just adding to the point that there were multiple ways in which this offense was trying to create opportunities. And that's what I really liked. It wasn't lethargic. It wasn't one-dimensional. It wasn't just relying on individual talent. We were trying to do multiple different things. And on another day, we could have scored a few more.
And it didn't feel like we were taking advantage of something from Atlas that we don't see on a regular basis. Like it feels like they could play this way often. And hopefully they do. And maybe the confidence of having Rodrigo de Paul for some reason has allowed them to do that. Corner kicks, I also wrote down as a note. They put the ball into the box from corners a number of times. Allende had an opportunity where he gets his head, like it should have been an easy opportunity for him. And obviously, whatever you want to call it, lack of confidence, he wasn't able to finish. That is a wrinkle I think we've only ever seen in the Club World Cup from this team. They are so basic in what they do off of corner kicks. And
we identified 3, right? We identified
well, it's the same 3 plays every time. They were actually putting the ball into the box on a fair, like 2 or 3 times.
Wait, was it Messi trying an Olympico and then not getting in close enough to the thing, or
no, I don't
was
think
it them
so,
actually putting it in the box?
No, because it was coming from the other corner, at least on the Allende shot. I think they know that's a higher chance of them scoring. And when they think they need a goal in high-pressure games, high-pressure moments, they start putting the ball into the box. And then when they feel like they just can be on cruise control in some MLS games, that's when they start having fun with it. But I like that. I thought it did create a dangerous opportunity for Tadeo Allende. I do think there's 2 or 3 goals out there for the rest of the season if you do that on a consistent basis from either him or Fafa Picault, who are both high-level vertical athletes that can get up there and put the ball, well, you would think put the ball in the back of the net. That, to me, feels like something we should be doing more often.
It wasn't just Messi taking the corners. I think Rodrigo de Paul took one corner. Alba took a couple of corners as well. So maybe they've changed something up. I don't know, because I feel like it's really hard to judge how much Javier Mascherano has an influence in how this team plays. And every time we think he's trying to do something, he goes back to the old ways. So maybe there's some credit to it. We'll see. If we repeat it in the next game, then I can get behind the bandwagon.
Yeah, no, I'm just pointing it out because I think it's something to watch for future games coming up. I want to end on a specific note, but let's talk about the substitutions for a second, because I think disappointing is probably it's probably like the right way to say it. But also, and someone in the chat pointed this out last night, I'm wondering if we kind of latched on to exactly what Javier Mascherano is going to do for the rest of the season, where your two midfielders in De Paul and Busquets are not coming off. Your two strikers in Messi and Suárez are not coming off. The back line is not changing unless there's an injury. Obviously, the goalkeeper is not going to come out mid-game. So you're looking at changing Segovia out for someone, and you're looking at changing Allende out for someone mid-game, and that's it as a substitution pattern. And it makes me nervous that could be and feels like exactly where Javier Mascherano would be taking this from a substitution perspective, and the fact that we got worse and more defensive when we brought in Redondo for Segovia, and not even putting in your best defenders to do it. I don't love that.
Nah, I told you offline when I saw De Paul play and I realized what Javier Mascherano was trying to do. I think this is going to limit the minutes that some of these youngsters get drastically. It was a damning statement by Rodrigo De Paul when he said he didn't expect to play the full 90 minutes, which just goes to show that Javier Mascherano will not take these players off. He will not. So expect them to play. Expect them to play full 90, maybe one odd game here and there. But I think the starting 11 is set. The 5 players who are going to play every single game is set, unless they're unable to. And everyone else in and around is going to have to fight for scraps when it comes to minutes. And that's just sad. But speaking of specific substitutions as well, that Redondo substitution made no sense. You take off Segovia, you put in Redondo, you put Rodrigo De Paul out wide in Segovia's place, where I thought he wasn't as effective as he was centrally. And then Redondo was just poor in terms of his defensive ability to hold the game down. Our bias for Yannick Bright is known, so maybe that's feeding into this. I think he would have been the perfect player to try and see the game out, but...
Well, Redondo would have been the same type of substitution. I'm sorry, Yannick Bright would have been the same type of substitution as a Redondo. We're going to get more conservative. We've got our 1-goal lead, and we're going to close this game out. I agree with you that Yannick Bright is a better defender, and so that would have made more sense. But I think maybe even the whole idea of we're up 1-0, let's close down shop in the 63rd minute is not
problematic.
68th minute, I apologize. Because this team was creating plenty of chances. It wasn't like this team was getting shut out. I think if they had kept the pedal to the metal, they would have scored 2 or 3. They ended up getting a second, but they could have scored a third, fourth, and not only helped them in this game, but potentially allowed them to be in better position in terms of advancing into the next round of this tournament. So it is what it is. This is what Javier Mascherano this is who he is. And so we're just going to keep calling it out, but it's not coming from a place where we expect it to change. I think that's fair to say. Okay, let's end on this before we get to awards. That was a great game, I thought, from Inter Miami. And sometimes we do the raw reaction and we get caught up in what happens at the very end, or there's something we're sort of latching onto the whole game, and it's biasing how we're viewing the entire performance. When I rewatched that game, I thought they played really well. I was very encouraged with the style of play, and I thought ideas-wise, this is exactly how Inter Miami should be playing. And so for me, it was like a really, really nice moment and game from Inter Miami, and close to winning this game 3 or 4-0, and we would have felt really good about that. And that felt entirely within the realm of possibility for this game. I understand they were asking their defenders to do a lot going the other direction, but a lot of teams in MLS are not going to be able to replicate the quality that Atlas has. And so I think you're okay with trying to put more pressure on your defenders. And B, I think you have better defenders and personnel on your bench or coming back from injury that you could put back there that will help you be better defensively. So I think if we can get to a point where the thing we're complaining about most is we're playing the wrong personnel in the back line, that's actually a positive step for Inter Miami because we have all these offensive freaks. With all due respect, like they are world-class talents. We have 2 of the 4 best active goal scorers in the world, and we are not playing aggressive enough for them. And so I think this was like a real positive from a mindset perspective. And just before anyone calls me out on that, Messi obviously second most goals of any active player, only behind Ronaldo. Luis Suárez is 4th, only behind Lewandowski and Ronaldo and Messi. So you're talking about highly prolific attacking players, and we know Jordi Alba as a left back is an unbelievable talent. We see what Busquets can do, and hopefully Rodrigo de Paul shows us he's equally in that sphere. There's no reason this team should be playing as, and I want to quote him here, PG says, a conservative, stubborn, risk-adverse, rigid, unimaginative, no-kona, square peg, and a round hole tactic. So I was actually very encouraged by the overall performance. And on the rewatch, I really liked a lot of what I saw from a team mentality perspective.
Once bitten, twice shy, man. I'm not going to get behind this bandwagon. I need to see a repetition of this in the next game. It's bold of you to assume that we're going to change personnel because I think our defense for the League's Cup is locked in. Lujan and Falcon. That's going to be our centre-back partnership. And that's going to... It didn't create problems for now. That's okay. But I think against better opponents, that's going to be a problem. Offensively, we looked phenomenal. I thought we did exactly what we were supposed to do. Maybe could have finished off our chances a lot better. That comes down to individual mistakes, lack of polish, whatever you want to call it. But we were creating good patterns. The style was there. The tactics were there. So absolutely really enjoyed it. And I think for this game, it looked very, very good. But as I said, if we go back to being conservative in the next game, all of this goes out the window. So do it again. And if Rodrigo de Paul was the answer, then I'm very happy with that. I'm fine if Javier Mascherano was waiting for Rodrigo de Paul to come in, to be bold enough to make the choices and allow our strikers to express themselves. I think that's the wrong mentality. But still, I think if that's the key that unlocked the offensive juggernaut that this Inter Miami team can be, then I'll be more than happy with it. But I have to see the same in the next game to even think about giving Javier Mascherano credit for this. So very good for you for pointing it out, but I'm not optimistic that this is going to be repeated in the next few games. We'll see. I'm hopefully wrong.
Yeah, I know you have your scars, so I can appreciate that, and I totally get where you're coming from. Awards?
Let's do it. I think I've got
okay, guys. For those that haven't seen the show before, on every game recap, we give out 6 awards: a Heron of the match, a Heron that flew north, 2 individual awards each. And because I'm a gentleman, Saur, I will let you go first. In this 2-1 last-minute comeback victory, or I guess stoppage time victory, where Chelo Weigandt is the hero. Chelo Weigandt makes the moment that changes everything about this game. And Chelo Weigandt has the biggest smile in victory. And by the way, if you haven't seen that picture, we made it the thumbnail. It is a huge smile from Chelo Weigandt after that goal. And it does bring you sort of a little hit of oxytocin because you could see the pure joy in it. Chelo Weigandt, superstar. Who was the man of the match for you?
Lionel Messi. Give it to him.
I didn't convince you there.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, I told you. Once bitten, twice shy. In Chelo's case, it's like 50 times bitten, 51 times shy. I can't give it to anybody else, man. Let's not even talk about stats or whatever. The things he does on the pitch, they can't be replicated. My second option was not Chelo. My second option was Rocco Ríos Novo. I could have potentially gone for him, but I think just the influence that Messi had without scoring a goal, without him, we don't win the game. The the sense to put the ball into the middle and not take the shot himself just goes to show how astute he is to the best way of scoring. He could have finished the playoff by himself and got the goal. He could be selfish, take that opportunity. No one in this entire fandom would blame him for taking the shot there. But he cut it square, saw Segovia in one time, saw Chelo Weigandt the second time, and got the easiest way to score, make sure that Inter Miami gets the 3 points that we need. Nobody else, Lionel Messi, Heron of the match. We probably should keep giving it to him.
Yeah. Tony says a little bit earlier, he said, I don't think people fully appreciate Messi's genius level decision making. He always calculates the best percentage play. It's true. He's a phenomenon, even compared to Busquets and DePaul and Suárez and Jordi Alba. Like, he is a next level type talent. And we treat him like he's the superstar, but he is more than that. And when we watch him play, when he's on and he's really in it, it's outstanding, and it's amazing. And we have this dilemma all the time where we are lost for words on how to explain his brilliance, but it's true because it's so unique and special. And he was awesome again last night. I thought he played really, really well.
Yeah, before I rudely cut you off there, Sergio Busquets could have made that pass. But if Messi didn't ask for the pass and didn't have the awareness to run into that area, immediately knowing that Sergio Busquets is going to get the ball, that goal would not have happened. So it's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And I know people in the chat are saying maybe we should have a man of the match or heron of the match award that's other than Messi, so that other people can get awards. But that's why we have the other 4 awards as well. So there's a reason we give away 4 additional awards on this podcast. But before we get to those, who's the heron that flew north, Scotty?
I don't remember. The heron that flew north.
You want me to tell you?
No, it's okay. I'm sure we have the same person. It was Tadeo Allende. I almost feel bad for giving this award. I wonder if maybe we should institute a mercy rule for how many consecutive herons that flew north you can have. But he was bad again. And I almost feel like it's getting to the point where it's not his fault anymore because he needs a chance to reset. Because he's just getting thrown out there, and you can see his confidence is shot, and he's frustrated with himself, and his teammates aren't putting the ball to him as frequently as they were. He's turning the ball over all the time, and he's wasting great opportunities, and he knows it. The team knows it, and Sean says heron that flew north other than Allende. I think there's a player here, and I don't think what we're doing right now is going to help bring the best out of him. And so, again, I ask, please just give me Fafa Picault for a week or 2. And if you're going to bring in another forward, you're going to put Allende on the bench anyways. So he can go on the bench. He's not good enough to just demand this. Like when Suárez plays game after game, I understand it because he's Luis Suárez. Today, Allende doesn't have that same cachet. So I just feel bad for him at this point.
And we had the same choice for heron that flew north. I don't know what to say about Allende because this is a player that has gone from being a top 3 scorer on this team to now suddenly not even being able to control the ball. That moment where Segovia puts that beautiful ball straight into his feet, I think I expected nothing more. I knew exactly what was going to happen. The ball was going to bounce off his feet and just the chance would be wasted. That happened 2-3 times this game. And I feel sorry for him. Rest him, man. Give him some time off. His confidence is shot. Give him an opportunity to come on at a time when other people are tired on the opposition team so that he can make the most of it. But at this point, it just feels really he's disappointing a lot of people. So let him have some time off, and Javier Mascherano needs to make that decision.
And it's not just the touch anymore, because we clearly understand his touch is not good. But he's been able to be an impactful player on this team.
Exactly.
And his touch has never been good. But now you can see the confidence is gone. And I mentioned a header where he goes up, he gets it, he's in the perfect position. And then when it comes down to putting a header on target, he completely misses. And that's not his footwork is wrong type of thing. It's a confidence thing. And so I think you gotta find a way to spark him, and running him into the lineup every single game. It's clearly not working. So it's time to try something else.
Absolutely.
Okay, what is your first award?
A Stitch in Time award.
A Stitch in Time award. I'm 1,000% sure you are giving this to Rodrigo de Paul, because Rodrigo de Paul needs an award. But I want to first figure out how exactly this fits in.
This will only count if you're able to understand the nuance behind it, and there's layers to it. So if you can figure out one, then I'll give you that. And just so just so I give you a fair opportunity here, the full statement goes: a stitch in time saves 9. That's the expression. Now do with that what you will.
A stitch in time saves 9. He was allowing everyone to get forward and be more aggressive, and that saved Inter Miami in this game. I don't know. I'm curious to see the layers of this award, other than I'm so confident it goes to Rodrigo de Paul, and I am very excited to talk about him. So please tell us what exactly you're thinking with this one.
So a stitch in time saves 9 means that when something is about to tear apart, the easiest way to fix it is as soon as possible. Because if you get the stitch as early as possible, it will save you 9 additional stitches that you may have to do if the tear gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Rodrigo de Paul has come in at a time when this Inter Miami team has cracks, but those cracks haven't opened up into chasms. They're still tiny, narrow, small. And by bringing him just at the right time and utilizing him at just the right way, Inter Miami may just be able to stitch up those cracks and make a run, not just at the League's Cup, but potentially at the Supporters' Shield, and then eventually at the playoffs. The second layer to this is that Rodrigo de Paul fit in seamlessly into this team without a training session, without having ever played with this group together. Came on the field and bossed it for the large parts. And seamlessly is a play on a tailor stitching a seam. So seamlessly, I don't know if you appreciate the little wordplay there, but that's my award. A Stitch in Time goes to Rodrigo de Paul.
I like our graphics department just going with his jersey, because the face graphic isn't ready yet. Hopefully that will be ready.
Makes it extra special.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be ready by the time we get there this weekend. Can I be honest? I was underwhelmed with him on the first watch. He can dribble around people, the quality, the accuracy of his passes. There's like a super high quality to him that was evident. But it didn't feel like he was utterly impacting the game in an overwhelming way in that first game, which is fine because he had no training sessions and he didn't think he was going to go 90 minutes. And he did look tired in the first half. And so I can only imagine how that was affecting him by the time we were getting to 70 minutes. And then I rewatched
it. And you thought the exact same thing. Let's move on to the next award.
And I started watching him turn players. And I started watching him have a little bit of a touch. And I started watching him get back defensively and be in the right spot. All the little things that...
10th minute, 33 seconds, there was an instant where they cut our midfield apart. And then before you know it, Rodrigo de Paul was there. making sure that the back line was in place, everything was sorted out, and we got the ball back immediately.
This is
like, yes.
exactly the moment that my brain was like, okay,
Yep.
there's something here
Yeah,
on
yep.
the rewatch. He tracks back. There's a wide attacker for Atlas making the run into the box. He tracks him, pushes him off the ball, leaves it for Gonzalo Lujan to come on and start going momentum the other direction. It was really fun to watch. I still don't think he had an overwhelming impact on the style
No,
of play.
absolutely. No.
Or let me rephrase that. Because we've given Inter Miami credit for playing a more aggressive style. I didn't see anything in his game that unlocked that from a team perspective. I just saw like a talented player doing talented player things. But I am very curious to see what this looks like after one training session.
I will
Maybe
challenge
3.
you a little bit on that, because there were instances when he put some really good line breaking passes that completely opened up everything. So if you go back to a couple of games ago where we're just bouncing the ball around between Busquets and the back line, you're like, why are we going horizontal? Now we have two players who can play vertically forward. And for me, that was a big difference. One of the reasons we were constantly on attack was because Rodrigo de Paul looked at the ball and he put it forward. He didn't go side to side. So maybe all of this, the reason we looked so expansive was because De Paul never trained with Javier Mascherano and doesn't know how he wants to play. So he just kept putting the ball forward as much as possible. That allowed Messi and Suárez to just be like, okay, we're getting the ball and I might as well run at the goal. That might be one of the reasons. But there was more than enough for me to see, oh, yeah, he unlocks our offensive capabilities in a lot of ways. There was that one instant where he got on the ball on the sideline. There was a player on him, brushed him off, and then just charged into the middle. I was like, oh, that was so good.
One of the things that he wasn't as athletic on the first watch in terms of like explosive athleticism, but then as I was rewatching the game, I was like, man, he's really creating separation here, and it's not as obvious, right? But yeah, I'm very excited for what he can be.
Crosses into the box as well that we were able to get the ball towards the goal but didn't get it on target. So there's so much there. I think it's going to develop more once he gets embedded into this team, but definitely deserving an award.
Tony says he switched the play for the last goal. That's absolutely true. He was a part of that last moment. And again, to be able to have an impact in the 97th minute when you haven't trained with the team and you're in preseason form, I think, again, goes to show his quality. Again, I still think there's a real conversation to be had about how you turn this player into a transformational
Phenom.
Like use him as a way to transform the entire team. But after one game, I thought the signs were very positive and clearly like the talent's there. And sometimes you don't appreciate the first time you watch it, some of the mental aspects of the game, the positioning, the awareness. And I think when I was watching it again, I was really impressed with some of those aspects. And then his ability to create separation without like real burst was also pretty fun to watch. Good award. I like it. My first award is Before the Dawn.
Before the Dawn award. So somebody who operates at night. So he's Batman. So
He is Batman.
the only player that I can think of worthy of being Batman on this team, actually Redondo. He could be a good Batman. No, this award goes to Chelo Weigandt because before the dawn, it was quite dark. And when it was dark, it was really, really dark. And we would have needed the brightest torch to even see anything positive with Chelo's performance. So for me, it's Chelo Weigandt. Before the dawn was quite bad. But after the dawn was fantastic, especially with that smile. Oh, well done.
Tony nails it in the chat. It is darkest before the dawn. Whoo, baby. Chelo had some moments in this game where he was just oblivious, leaving runners free. A couple times, even Rodrigo de Paul had to come and kind of carry that man out of the picture. But then the dawn broke, and that beautiful sunshine and that beautiful smile came through. And Chelo Weigandt had his finest moment at Inter Miami. He gives Inter Miami this win. I have no idea what he's doing playing striker in that moment, but I don't care because he was there when the
What
team
was he
needed him.
doing there? Yeah.
I can forgive the rest of it for this game because
Trash.
it was dark. It was dark.
Utter trash for 90 minutes. But everything he did in that 90 plus one deserves to be celebrated. He is indeed Batman because that was great. If you put him in strike, I think he'll score a few goals, Well done to him. Very poor performance, capped off by a beautiful goal. And yeah, we can't criticize that. I had an award for him called Saved by the Bell because, boy, he got saved by the bell. And it wasn't pretty for large parts, but hey, let him cook, man. Let him cook. He needed to charge up that energy by putting out all the mistakes in the first 90 minutes so that at the 91st minute, he could just touch it into the goal.
No, but listen, if you are going to be a right back who scores a goal every game, dude, you're allowed to be on my team.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do defensively. So, congratulations, Chelo. You are the hero. And I will make no comments on the rest of your game because you were there when we needed you most. And that is a wonderful smile, wonderfully bright, just like the morning sunrise. And also now you are Batman. So, congratulations.
More of the same, please.
What is your second award?
My second award is the Dragon Warrior Award. And this is a reference to the 2018 Oscar-winning classic or 2008 Oscar-winning classic, Kung Fu Panda. Fantastic movie. In my mind, it should have won an Oscar.
I feel like, okay, I haven't seen this movie.
What?
I feel like this is the second time, or maybe the third time, you've made an award referencing this movie. So, I'm just going to guess on who I think you're giving an award to.
You've never watched Kung Fu Panda? What? I'm sorry. I don't think I can do this podcast anymore with you until you watch Kung Fu Panda. That's your assignment for tonight. Oh, man.
What is the award name again? The Dragon?
The Dragon Warrior.
The Dragon Warrior.
Well, it's ruined now because you don't know the reference.
Well, maybe the chat will know, and certainly some of the listeners. I'm going to guess Rocco Ríos Novo because he was standing on his hands.
No.
Oh, damn.
So I'll give you a little bit of a background. In that movie, the panda is a cook. He makes dumplings. The Dragon Warrior is supposed to be the one who saves the valley from destruction, from this big enemy. And everyone thinks it's going to be this massive martial artist. It's going to be someone very popular. It's going to be someone who's competent and ready to take on the villain. And then lo and behold, the cook is declared as the Dragon Warrior. And on this team, we had one Dragon Warrior, one martial artist who was supposed to be the Dragon Warrior, and Drake Callender, injured. We had another one, the Starry, who was ready to take on the mantle as Dragon Warrior, injured. And then the least likely panda came up in Rocco Ríos Novo, and he was given the mantle of the Dragon Warrior. No one trusted him. Not even his own coach trusted him. Everyone thought he's going to be terrible. And when the Valley needed him the most, when South Florida needed him the most, he brought out that save, dispelled the villain, and brought victory to this team. And for that reason, Rocco Ríos Novo, with that mustache, with that goatee, is my Dragon Warrior. Next award.
I am very tired, but I'm fairly confident I just guessed Rocco Ríos Novo, and then you said no. He was awesome in this game. My opinion of him changed in this game. He has looked so nervous when he's played. He hasn't come from crosses. He's looked, I don't want to say slow to the ground, but not particularly quick. And when you're not particularly quick, the lack of length does hurt. And he looked poised and controlled and calm and confident and all the things I want from my goalkeeper. So I think he was outstanding in this game. I want to see how many saves he actually finished with because it was not nothing. He was really good. I think that's.
He didn't look like a third choice goalkeeper, as Tony says. He looked like a second choice goalkeeper who's challenging to be the first choice goalkeeper. He was very confident, very poised, very commanding. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And it's very positive that he's changed our opinion about him, because my opinion of him was very low and I was very worried how Inter Miami is going to deal with this. Needs to continue with these performances, but I think a big confidence builder. And well done, man. I could have contemplated giving him the man of the match award. And if you had done that, I would not have batted an eye. I thought he had a really good performance, and kudos to him. Kept us in the game when it mattered the most, brought out those saves, and secured us the 3 points as much as Messi did.
This was my thought process on Rocco Ríos Novo. Last night, he transformed from a B team player to an A team player in my brain.
Yeah.
We have constantly written off his mistakes because he's a third string goalkeeper and he probably shouldn't be in this situation. And he somehow finds himself in this situation. And so he's 22, he's a young goalkeeper. And so we've been very forgiving about Rocco Ríos Novo. But if you can do that, then you're a first-team player, and all of a sudden I think it changes the way we talk about you. So great game, and now you're fair game moving forward. But I think that's a real positive for him. I had so much confidence that if we had to go to penalties last night, Rocco would have won it for us. I don't know where it came from, but there was something magic in the air, and I think Rocco had a lot to do with it. He finishes
Chelo
with
said
6
otherwise.
saves. Yeah, he finishes with 6 saves. The 1 goal allowed is absolutely not on Rocco. He makes a really fantastic save in the 25th minute that we've talked about a couple of times. I thought it was really good, and he changed my perception of him. Now that I know that's in him, that's his new standard, and I want to see that from him. So, that was such a good performance to change the way I thought about him. I don't know
Absolutely.
what better compliment I could give him. He was great.
Absolutely.
My final award is the Heartbeat Award.
That's when you know Scotty's tired, when he gives out the Heartbeat Award. Benkram? That's the only one I can think of,
Why?
because he played with heart and he played with a lot of rhythm. That's why his heart was beating. So Benjamin Kramaski with the Heartbeat Award.
It's funny because I've given this award a number of times, and you've complained about it almost every time.
Yeah.
And yet you've never understood the pattern or reason why I give this award. And the reason is because an Inter Miami player did something that is, I think, special and uniquely related to Inter Miami. Benjamin Kramaski hit his 100th career game for Inter Miami last night. 100 games played for Inter Miami. I think he's the 3rd player to do this. Maybe the 4th. I'm not sure how Campana finished, but yeah, this is a homegrown player.
First academy player.
Yeah, homegrown player, 100 games, well deserved. And I think Noah Allen has been great since the end of last season. I think Ian Frey has also had some spectacular moments, but we know the injury history. But I don't know if any of them deserve this achievement more than Kramaski, who has not only come onto the scene and kind of sparkled when he was the main attraction for this team, but even as the Messi era started, he was able to integrate himself and was a starter for our first trophy and has consistently been a contributor for this team. And I'm sure he has a bright future, but this is something that is going to stick with him forever, to be the first Inter Miami homegrown player to hit 100 triple digits appearances for the club. That is worthy of an award.
Now all he has to do is play goalkeeper for this team. That's all he has to do. Now, a fantastic award, great achievement, getting better every single game, every single week, every single month. He's taken strides this season. Last season was a bit of an anomaly, and I thought he wasn't as good as he should have been. But this season, he's definitely looked like the player that we think he is. Still not the finished product, man. His ceiling is very high. I think he's going to get even better than he already is. And enjoy him while you can, because he's played 100 games for Inter Miami. He may not play that many more because he's going to get a move away very soon.
I want to say something. I would consider putting him in over Allende.
Yeah, absolutely. He had so much more spark compared to Allende when he came on. He was playing a similar position, wide forward, and creating more opportunities, getting stuck in. And I thought he was doing very well.
Not just that, but he was getting forward, and he has this knack. And it can be hard to see if you don't watch him consistently, but he has this knack for getting higher up the field, finding space to receive the ball, and then turning and sort of letting the game operate around it. And that's a way to create some verticality and some space between the back line and the midfield that I think isn't exactly what Allende does, but can potentially have a similar effect. I wouldn't mind seeing him playing, seeing what it looks like, at least, for him to take that role, especially considering Allende's form. I thought he looked good last night. And I
thought
see
he
some
looked
people in
good
the
as
chat
well.
saying no. Some people in the chat said last night that they didn't think so. I thought he looked really nice. I think Jordi Alba, misses him by 6 inches, or he would have had a goal. I thought he was good.
Yeah, I agree with you. Fantastic game.
Anyone else on this lineup or from this game that you wanted to give an award to?
No,
or
I gave
talk about?
awards to everyone that I wanted to give awards to. So that was my list. I thought it was a good performance overall. Segovia obviously getting that goal, but also continuing to show how he impacts this game. RDP finally getting a start. Sergio Busquets, very good with that assist or pre-assist. Jordi Alba, I thought, had a good game. Suárez was a mixed bag, but largely good. So overall, I thought that was a great performance from the team, despite some defensive vulnerabilities. And the fact that we didn't give an award to either Maxi Falcone and Lujan just goes to show that we played very well offensively, and our defensive vulnerabilities weren't even a factor.
There is something we didn't really talk about. And that was at the beginning of this game, it felt like Messi was playing number 9 and Suárez was playing more as like a number 10. And I just went to SofaScore, and the way they lined up this team, which I believe they base off of like overall positioning in this game, they have Suárez as the 10 and Messi as the number 9. I don't necessarily want to get into it. I think we touched on it yesterday in the Raw reaction. I don't think it's something we're going to see. I don't even think we saw it for the last hour of this game, but I think it's funny that Messi's overall positioning was a little bit higher than Suárez in this game. I don't think,
and that's my biggest gripe with Suárez, but it's okay. It changed after a while, so it's fine.
I agree with you. I thought overall his performance was fine. Segovia, I think Suárez was a goal away from having a really nice performance. Segovia does get the goal. I thought he was solid. The back line, the center backs, both of them, I thought they were lucky with the game plan that Atlas put together, and I will put it like that. I thought Lujan was the absolute most culpable for that goal. His decision to put the ball back into the 6-yard box is, I can't explain. Busquets was awesome. I think we talked about everyone. Redondo, I didn't think he had much of an impact, but that's okay. Sean says, can we give an award to 199 from Atlas, the Please Come Play for Miami award? He did have a little bit of a spark. I've never seen a player have the number 199, like a triple-digit number, so that was interesting.
Who was that player? What was his name? Gonzalez?
It was Hernandez. Sergio Hernandez.
Yeah.
He definitely had some moments where he came out of the midfield and made some interesting runs against our back line. And then the last thing I want to talk about, because I believe it was Ash, had a great question at the beginning of this conversation. What's the fastest way for this team to reach their current potential if you don't buy any more players? So this is something we've touched on a couple of times, but I think it's interesting now that we've seen Rodrigo de Paul. If you could only make a couple changes, like 2 or 3 changes, to really get the most out of this team, what would you do?
Change the centre backs. That's one change. Both of the centre backs gone. Alan Alvarez. And I would change Allende, put in Bright, and move Messi to the right-hand side. That's 3 changes, but close enough. That's a phenomenal team. Give me Ian Frey on the right back, and I'm cooking.
Yeah.
You know what? Add Drake Allen in goal. Then we'll talk.
I can't get over this idea of having Busquets in the back line because I think it would allow you to have a level of athletic control over the midfield that I think could be transformational. But
I don't even think you need to have that formation of him in the back line. Keep it a 4-2, 4-4-3, 4-3-3, sorry. I think the
I just don't
positioning
think-
that you're talking about with Sergio Busquets, yes, I think when we're on the ball especially, he'll play between the two center backs with a 3-man back line. But you don't need to label it a 3-man back line if you don't want to, right? You can play Busquets in the middle, push Messi out wide, but when we're actually building up from the back, put Busquets in the back, Brighton, Redondo in front, Messi as a number 10, Segovia and Suárez up top.
I think it's the opposite, actually. I think it's when you're out of possession, having Busquets in the back line.
Okay.
Because that gives
makes
you the
sense
midfield.
as well.
That gives you the athletic midfield.
Yeah.
I would be very curious to see what that looked like. I don't think we're ever going to get it, but I can dream, can't I? That said, I think a lot of the things you said are instant fixes. This team last night played an aggressive style where they were getting their fullbacks high. They were playing these sort of 1-2s to each other, playing with a lot of confidence, free flowing, all of those things we love to see. And so if you're going to do that, you're going to ask your defenders to be better in one-on-one situations. And I think we have the players on the roster. I don't think those players are first choice in Javier Mascherano's mind, which I don't understand. But I think like you're 1 or 2 changes away from having like a really, really impressive team. And I agree with you. The center backs, no Allen, Aviles. Maybe you bring in a new guy. I know that's not part of the hypothetical here, but and then you be very aggressive offensively, and you're chilling. You're going to be feeling really good.
Do you want to rock up to the Chase Stadium and just apply to be the coach for Inter Miami this season? You're like, kick Javi Mascherano out. Let us do the cooking, please. We'd actually put out a fantastic team, and we don't even need to train them.
I don't know how I don't know if I want to even go here, but I don't know what Mascherano's impact is in some of these decisions. There was a graphic going around last night. There was a graphic going around last night where all 11 players are like purely either Argentine, Uruguayan, one Venezuelan, and then the 2 Barcelona guys from Spain. And so I don't really know who's actually making the decisions specifically about personnel, who's starting. That said, I think Javier Mascherano's being set up to be the fall guy, which I think is fair. He accepted that role, and so he needs to win trophies. And maybe not just trophies, but the MLS Cup. And so until then, he's going to do it the way he thinks is best, or that within the confines of what he's allowed to do. And it is his job at stake. So I can respect a guy going with what he thinks is best if it's his job on the line. And I guess I will leave it at that.
Well said.
Saur, any other thoughts on this game? Or are you ready to wrap it up until that pregame show, 1 hour before kickoff, live on YouTube on Saturday?
Let's wrap it up, but I do want to say one thing. Rodrigo de Paul's here, baby. He's here, and he's here to stay. He's going to play the next game as well. He's going to get better. He's going to get more chemistry with everyone around him. It's going to look even more flashy. It's going to look even more offensive, I hope. And this team can only get better from here. Great game yesterday. Not the most prolific scoreline, but I thought Inter Miami did more than enough to deserve 4 goals, maybe. And we take it step by step, I guess. Next game is going to be coming up soon. We're going to be there no matter what. As you said, Scotty, join us 1 hour before for the pregame show, and hopefully Inter Miami can get another win and then one step closer to the next round.
Inter Miami finished this game with over 3 XG, and just with the sort of clinical finishing of some of the players on this team, you would expect them to score 4 goals. So
yeah,
do that again. That was great. I can understand anyone who thinks I want to see it again before I really believe in it, but hopefully that comes. One other housekeeping issue I wanted to mention. There's been some what I would call audio clipping issues that we've had in recent weeks. We know that, and it's been bothering us more than anyone. So we think we have finally found the solution to that. I hope that's the case. And for anyone that was telling us about it, we think we have solved it, and I hope that's the case. And I will leave it at that. Guys, we will be back Saturday, 1 hour before kickoff. It does start a little bit early. I think the game's at 7 Eastern instead of 7:30. So just keep that in mind. And so we'll be here at 6 o'clock Eastern live, and we hope you join us. Until then, have a great night. Have a great weekend. We will see you then. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this, and have a wonderful day.